By mid-October 2025, the grim count of over 11,200 Russian tanks destroyed echoed like a funeral bell for a fading military empire. For decades, Russian armor was seen as a symbol of unshakable strength, the steel heart of Moscow's war machine. But that heart has begun to rust. Many of the vehicles reduced to burning shells across Ukraine's fields were Soviet relics, heavy, loud, and outdated, built to consume ammunition rather than to secure victory. Yet what truly stunned the world wasn't the loss of these old metal beasts. It was the fall of Russia's most advanced tank, the T-90M Proryv, the crown jewel of Vladimir Putin's modern arsenal. A machine once hailed as the world's best tank rolled onto the battlefield for its long-awaited debut near Donetsk and vanished in less than 24 hours. A full year of buildup. Hundreds of millions poured into production. Engineers, strategists, and propagandists all united behind a single vision, a weapon to restore Russia's steel supremacy. And then, in one night near the small village of Shakovo, that vision went up in smoke. The destruction of the T-90M wasn't just another military failure, it was a symbol. A signal that the age of heavy armor may finally be giving way to the era of drones and digital warfare, where small, cheap machines can destroy what once defined military power. So what went wrong? Why did Russia's most prized tank, the centerpiece of Putin's military pride, crumble so fast? And what does this mean for the future of modern warfare? When Russia rolled out its T-90Ms in late 2025, it had already lost thousands of older tanks, T-72s, T-80S, and T-62s, many built decades earlier. These were never meant to win wars, they were meant to exhaust the enemy's ammunition. The T-90M, by contrast, was supposed to be different, a sign of technological rebirth. Factories in Uralvagonzavod quietly produced nearly 300 of them through 2024, each boasting advanced optics, upgraded armor, and a powerful 125mm gun. State media claimed it could approach any position unharmed, a mobile fortress designed to dominate open terrain. Putin himself, during a 2023 factory visit, praised the T-90M as the finest tank on earth. But behind the speeches, Russia's generals hesitated. They hoarded the tanks, too scared to risk them early in the war. They wanted a grand reveal, a decisive push that would shock the world. That chance came in October 2025, near the town of Pokrovsk, where Moscow aimed to break Ukrainian defenses by launching its largest mechanized assault in months. The target, Shakovo village, a small but strategic outpost controlling vital supply lines across Donetsk. If captured, it would open a path toward deeper Ukrainian territory. To seize it, Russia assembled a force of 36 tanks, including several T-90Ms, backed by armored infantry, motorcycle scouts, and elite marine brigades. But the plan was fatally outdated. Built on the same Soviet playbook used generations ago, motorcycle scouts were sent ahead to draw Ukrainian fire. Tanks would follow, crushing whatever survived. On paper, it was a shock and awe strategy. In practice, it was suicide. Because Ukraine had already seen this movie before. Their intelligence units had tracked Russian preparations for weeks, using drones, intercepted communications, and satellite imagery. They turned Shakovo into a trap, a layered defense zone filled with anti-tank mines, hidden artillery, and swarming FPV drones programmed to strike the weak points of armored vehicles. When the Russian columns advanced on October 9th, the earth itself erupted beneath them. Mines tore open the leading tanks. Drones screamed down from above, smashing into turrets and engine vents. Within minutes, what was meant to be a spearhead turned into a graveyard. Reports from Euromaidan press confirmed that 3 T-90Ms and over 20 other armored vehicles were destroyed in the first hour. 107 soldiers were killed, many of them elite Marines. Survivors tried to retreat, only to be hunted through the night by Ukrainian kamikaze drones. By dawn, Shakovo was silent, except for the burning remains of what had once been Russia's most feared machines. So why did the T-90M fail? On paper, it's a marvel. A 46-ton powerhouse with a 125mm gun, reactive armor, and a top speed of 60 kilometers per hour. But its brilliance lies only in the specs. In the chaos of real combat, those numbers mean little. Modern drones fly low, undetected by radar, and strike from above, where tank armor is thinnest. No sensor suite, no armor plating, no superior fire control system can stop a $500 drone from slipping through and hitting the ammunition compartment. And that's where the T-90M's deadliest flaw lies, the ammunition carousel. Like its predecessors, the T-90M stores shells directly beneath the crew, without any protective wall. A single hit can ignite the ammunition and blow the entire turret skyward, the infamous jack-in-the-box effect. It's not just a design oversight, it's a death sentence. In contrast, Western tanks like the U.S. Abrams isolate their ammo behind blast walls, giving the crew a chance to survive. Russian crews aren't so lucky. When a drone hits, there's no escape. Videos from the front lines show turrets spinning, hatches flying open, and armored giants torn apart by explosions from the inside. Each T-90M costs around $4.5 million, yet many are destroyed within minutes. At current production rates, barely 10 units per month, Russia can't replace them fast enough. Factories are struggling under sanctions, and spare parts are scarce. Even worse, the loss of these tanks isn't just financial, it's psychological. For soldiers, seeing their so-called invincible weapon obliterated by a flying lawnmower is devastating. For the Kremlin, it's humiliating. After the Shakovo disaster, internal reports leaked of tense meetings in Moscow. Generals blamed outdated strategies, engineers blamed poor logistics. Propagandists scrambled to spin the story, calling the loss minor. But the truth was impossible to hide. Putin's symbol of modern strength had been reduced to twisted wreckage in less than a day. The consequences rippled far beyond the battlefield. Russia's once proud arms export market began to collapse. Longtime buyers like India, which had planned to purchase nearly 500 T-90M units, abruptly canceled their orders, turning instead to European and Korean alternatives. Defense analysts noted a 30% drop in global interest for Russian armor by mid-2025. At home, the Kremlin ordered emergency production surges, demanding over 1,000 new tanks by 2030. But sanctions and material shortages made that nearly impossible. Workers were pulled from civilian industries, and inflation soared as billions were funneled into rebuilding what had already been lost. Meanwhile, online, Russian citizens began to question everything, from the war itself to the myth of technological superiority. Polls showed a 15% drop in public confidence and a wave of frustration over the endless reports of destroyed equipment. Even loyal soldiers started to whisper about fighting with ghosts from the past. Ukraine, on the other hand, celebrated Shakovo as more than a tactical win. It was proof that brains beat brawn. Their fusion of technology, intelligence, and creativity had outsmarted a force far larger and richer. Military briefings hailed the victory as a turning point, evidence that small, adaptive warfare could defeat even the mightiest steel formations. The fall of the T-90M isn't just a story of one battle. It's the story of a shift in military history, a clash between the old world and the new. For a century, the tank symbolized dominance, rolling power that decided wars from Normandy to the deserts of Iraq. But in Shakovo, that symbol burned away. The battlefield has changed. Drones that cost less than a smartphone can now take down million-dollar machines. Artificial intelligence can outthink human commanders in real time. And the future of warfare may belong not to those with the heaviest armor, but to those with the smartest minds. The lesson from Shakovo rippled through every military think tank on Earth. Analysts from Washington to Beijing pored over the wreckage, studying the drone footage frame by frame. What they saw wasn't just the destruction of a tank column, it was the death of an idea. For more than 100 years, armies believed that armor was invincibility. Tanks were symbols of permanence, of presence, of unyielding control. But the war in Ukraine proved that agility, data, and precision now rule the battlefield. The future belongs not to those who move slow and strong, but to those who move fast and unseen. In NATO briefings, generals quietly acknowledge that even Western armor might face the same fate if doctrines don't evolve. The age of titanic clashes between steel giants may be over. What's replacing it is quieter, colder, a world of drones whispering through the night sky, guided by unseen pilots miles away. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and swarm coordination now define victory. A single operator can control a fleet of autonomous attackers capable of overwhelming a convoy before a human ever reacts. The battlefield is no longer measured in kilometers, but in milliseconds. And somewhere in the ashes of Shakovo, amid the shattered remains of the T-90M, lies the warning for every nation still dreaming of glory through brute force: adapt or vanish. Because this isn't just Ukraine's story, it's a message to every superpower still betting on the weight of armor instead of the speed of innovation. In the wars of tomorrow, steel won't decide who wins. Silence will. The silence of drones, the silence before impact, and the silence that follows, when the machines stop moving and history begins to rewrite itself once again. Russia's T-90M was meant to mark the dawn of a new era for its army. Instead, it became the gravestone of an outdated doctrine, one that clings to brute force while the rest of the world moves toward precision and adaptability. The Battle of Shakovo will be remembered not just as a defeat for Moscow, but as the moment the tank age began to die, replaced by an era where silence in the skies is deadlier than thunder on the ground. Because in the drone age, wars are no longer won by steel and firepower. They're won by code, courage, and the cleverness to see what's coming next.